Sunday, everybody, and welcome back to the Couchside Judges. I'm Scott Fontana. Follow me on Twitter at Scott_Fontana.
And I'm Dan Urban. Follow me at the Dan Urban. Follow the podcast at Couchside Judges. And subscribe to us wherever you listen.
And if you like this show and you like me, it's Father's Day, so give me a 5-star review on this show.
And as always, we talk judging in MMA. Head on over to abcboxing.com to read the scoring criteria.
Got you on that one. You broke.
Yeah, well, I didn't expect that.
What was it, the fading part? Where I faded my voice out?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
You wish me happy Father's Day or what, you jerk?
Is it Father's Day yet?
It is Father's Day.
Hell yeah, it is 2 a.m. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing for me to beg for it.
Yeah.
That is really earned.
Yeah.
My wife already said it. My kids haven't said it. They're sleeping.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how it goes.
Okay.
But this was a decent early Father's Day present. Got to watch a lot of amazing fights and finishes.
Love fights. Love finishes.
You a big fan of those?
Hate when a boring fight goes to the cards and then they're all over the place and we have to rewatch them. That drives me nuts.
You know, you had a lot of energy at the start of this night, I feel like.
Oh, no, I'm
you've
ready
like
to
since
go.
lost this.
Oh yeah, well the final fight that I had to watch kind of drained me. But
We'll get to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's stick to what we said here with obviously the awesome fights from UFC in Texas, in Austin, where the fighters were very determined not to have any Texas judging dictate how their fights would result. So we got a lot of finishes, a lot of early finishes even. I was just glad to see it, honestly. Like, and it has nothing to do with the judging.
It started great.
I just thought it was a continuation of last week, because last week we had a really great card too.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of think Dawkins, the unfortunate clash of heads.
Kyle Dawkins.
Yeah, the unfortunate clash of heads probably got him knocked out quicker than it should have, but what are you going to do?
Them's the breaks.
That's MMA.
These things happen in MMA, as someone once said.
That's baseball, Susan.
That's baseball, Susan. Yes, as someone else says. Those outside the New York area probably have no idea what we're talking about. Listen to a Yankee game on WFAN. You'll understand. Yeah, but Dan, I think we got to start obviously with the main event here, which obviously we'll get to the scoring. That's what we do on this show. Let's talk real quick, though, about kind of the ramifications of the result of this, where Josh Emmett got the split decision victory over Calvin Kattar. Crucial featherweight fight. Where does this get Emmett in terms of the title picture? Is he realistically the next guy after this weekend, or do you think there's more work to be done?
No, I mean, he was at 7 coming in. I don't see him jumping. You think he can jump ahead of Arnold Allen?
I don't know. I mean, there's a few guys, obviously, that are in the mix. Imagine if Yair Rodriguez gets a win next month over Brian Ortega.
Yeah.
That would be a thing. I think it'd probably be pretty hard to put Ortega in there next, depending on what he's potentially able to do.
Right, yeah.
Even in that fight. If he goes in there and he impresses, you never know.
You really never know. But Max is technically next.
It's not technically. It's 2 weeks away.
Right, but... it is. It's that
It's
close.
literally 2 weeks away.
Okay. It is close.
Oh, yeah.
See, you know what my problem is? Volk he's throwing me a curveball here by actually fighting again this year.
You know, I told you that he was going to do that. You were like, nah. Believe it.
We still got 2 weeks. Pump the brakes.
Fair enough. I can't argue with that.
But yeah, if Yair can beat Ortega, I could see him getting that. He probably would get the shot with a win over Ortega. I
would say, though, man, I really don't. I wouldn't rule out Emmett getting in there, even though obviously the nature of this victory, I think it was a good fight, but
it was a good fight.
But also, I mean, it's kind of not as definitive. It's kind of always tougher to kind of say, oh yeah, this guy's definitely going to get the shot. You never know, though. I think he's still very much, as Dana likes to say, in the mix.
In the mix.
He loves that one.
Yeah, we're in the mix.
He used, I feel like he doesn't use it as much anymore. He used to do that.
Now it's like, oh well, yeah, we'll talk. Hunter, what are we doing? Stuff like that.
We'll talk on Tuesday
with the matchmakers when we get in the room and we let everything.
I don't have my mind made up on right after these fights. No, we don't think like that.
He's never wavered from that though.
But here's the thing: there's no way that they're that disorganized where they hadn't thought out possibilities.
Oh yeah.
It's obvious. If they're so disorganized that they never considered what they might do next, depending on broad range of how things went in a fight, then it's a miracle that they've gotten where they have.
So
I'd never buy it.
They were rattling.
There were some water bottles rattling.
rattling.
That's right. I don't know if that that shows up on the tape here, but Dan saved it.
It annoyed me. Yeah,
It bothered me too. I actually stopped. I was leaning on the table and I'm like, I'm gonna freeze to try and stop it, because if it fell, it would have made just a disaster. No one cares about this. Let's focus on the fights, sir.
Yeah, Dana White. But he always says, like, I don't make fights the night of fight.
And then he'll totally make a fight the night of the fight if he wants to.
If he wanted to. But they'll give all the ranking panels, listen, if this guy wins, you're putting him ahead of this guy, and making suggestions of how it should go.
I don't know where those come from. I don't know if that's necessarily from Dana's side, to be honest, because I used to be part of the rankings panel. I used to get the PDFs that would kind of make suggestions, about how you could do it. And I feel like those were made for like the Idiot's Guide people that like really don't follow it the way they're supposed to, but they're like, well, we'll take the bodies. That's fine. Because most people dropped out. So I don't even know who's a part of it anymore at this point. But what about Kattar? I mean, heartbreaker of a decision either way, right?
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't
He can't
losing
lose
a
too
fight
much
like
shine.
this. No, he doesn't lose much here.
But he's gonna have to pick up a couple wins at this point if he wants to get really back in, because it is a crowded upper level of this division. It's a very much I don't want to say it's a Shark Tank, but at the top there are so many good featherweights.
45 scary.
45 is very scary. Top of 45 is very scary. I
And
mean, it's deep enough too.
We got 9 and 8 are Giga Chikadze and Bryce Mitchell, and they're fighting each other next. So
yeah. I mean, realistically, anything from 55 down to 35 it's really awesome. That should be everybody's favorite MMA.
Kattar and Burgos fight yet? They ever fight?
Kattar and Burgos? I can't recall off the top of my head. I don't think so.
I kind of like that matchup.
Burgos has a matchup coming up. I want to say... No, I don't want to say, because I was going to say something that had already happened, so it's not that. Shane Burgos is fighting Charles Jourdain in Long Island next month.
Yeah, Long Island.
And Burgos is a Bronx kid, although he grew up, I think he moved in middle school or something like that to Monroe Township in lower upstate New York.
Long commute. That's
what do you mean long commute?
Bronx to Long Island? Jeez Louise, don't sign me up for
live
that.
No, he doesn't live in the Bronx. I just told you.
He just lives.
I literally just said that.
You said he grew up in the Bronx.
I said he grew up in the Bronx and he moved in middle school.
Oh, I missed that part.
Yeah.
All right.
Our listeners caught it. Don't worry.
So it's even further then.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd probably stay in a hotel, dude.
I wouldn't want to go anywhere near Long Island.
I'll be honest, man. From where we are right here in our little corner of North Jersey, which is right in the shadow of MetLife Stadium, it doesn't take that long even to get to the arena where this is going to take place.
4 or 5 hours probably.
It's not deep in Long Island, though, dude.
4 or 5 hours.
It's really reasonably close to Brooklyn.
Not anything. Brooklyn ain't close. Brooklyn's like 3 hours.
I get to my in-laws in Brooklyn in 35 minutes.
That is
35 minutes.
I mean, if you're driving a hovercraft and you're going over people.
They live closer to my house than my parents do. I don't even think they're far. No one cares about this, by the way.
Not for me.
Not a single person listening cares about the relation where we are to Long Island.
Long Island.
And I know you're thinking it. You, dear listener, are thinking that right now. Like, why are you guys talking about this?
All right, move on
then. I do like the idea of Burgos fighting Kattar at some point, though. Although I don't know if they would put it together.
Or Evloev, maybe.
Evloev. Oh goodness, what are you feeding Kattar to Evloev? Is that what we're doing?
I don't know what we're doing. 45. Everyone's a killer.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
it's true.
Who do you put him against?
It's true. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It is tough. But yeah. What about kind of outside of the main event? Who is the biggest winner of the night?
Well, man,
who gets the most out of this? Who gains the most shine?
I thought Kevin Holland looked great. I
was leaning Holland.
I mean, for Natalia Silva for her UFC debut looked tremendous. Wonder if she's gonna get a big push because she did look really good.
She did look excellent, although at the same time, Jasmine Jasudavicius looked like trash.
She
really just looked terrible.
Yeah.
I'm not saying one is true and the other is not. It's probably a combination thereof, but yeah, I don't know. It was just a really good debut by her. That means she certainly made a great impression.
Yeah, like Cody Stamann looked really good, but also is Eddie Wineland.
He retired Eddie Wineland. It looked like
20-year vet. So
Yeah, that was one of the more predictable scenarios. I think of the whole night was the fact that he was gonna knock out Eddie Wineland.
Well, what I found most surprising is that the UFC gave Eddie Wineland a 4-fight deal. This was the first fight of that. What?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a reason why they were thinking that. They said probably it was kind of like, all right, if you win this one, you can keep going. If you lose, maybe you're probably just thinking of retiring anyway. Who knows? I'm speculating. I don't know anything there.
I guess I'm gonna have to say I'll probably just go with Holland as the best.
I think you're right. I think it is Kevin Holland.
He wants Sean Brady next. I think that'd be a fun fight.
That would be fun.
It could go very poorly for Holland, but he could also shock us. So
I do feel like whatever it is for Holland, he needs a ranked opponent because as much as I respect Tim Means, and I do, I like Tim Means, but I think because Kevin Holland was coming down from middleweight where he was ranked, and granted it's a different weight class, but I feel like it really shouldn't have been that hard for him to get back into a much higher caliber of opponent, even at 170, because he had that impressive win over, it was Cowboy Oliveira, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I think it would have been okay to give him someone on maybe the just outside of the top 15 or maybe even in the top 15 if they were able to arrange that. Although I know some fighters like to be protective of their ranking and that kind of thing, which is kind of stupid. Especially at the lower end. Like, what are you doing that for? That doesn't mean anything. But give him somebody in the ranks. He deserves it. I think it's time. He's got a little bit of a name. People are very interested in him. He's saving people left and right all the time. He's essentially Batman. You almost start to wonder, is this dude setting it up? Is he building these things in so that he comes in and saves the day?
There is a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot more. I would say he leads the UFC in times being a hero in the last 2 years, and it's probably him every single time and no one else. I can't remember anybody else. Not current roster, anyway.
No, I just saw a fight.
What was that?
That they should make.
What's that?
I mean, I know he called out Sean Brady, but I think him and Michelle Pereira would be pretty fun awesome. But yeah, so they should just do that one.
Okay.
Michelle Pereira and Kevin Holland will be.
It would be fun. I think that would be a lot of fun. Everybody wins with that fight, except for someone who gets a loss and then they don't get their money. But
Yeah, what are you
gonna do? What are you
That's
gonna
the
do?
fight game.
That's the fight game. These things happen in MMA.
Yep.
All right, let's get to contested rounds because we're going to go over, obviously, the main event was the big deal here. It was Josh Emmett got 2 48-47s. Calvin Kattar got 1 48-47. The one for Kattar came from Doug Crosby, whereas the ones for Emmett came from Chris Lee and Sal D'Amato. So rounds 2 and 4 are what we're going to be talking about here. Let's start with round 2, Dan.
Yeah, let's jump right in. Round 2. I think Kattar's working his jab pretty well. Emmett is throwing everything with crazy power. He doesn't know how to not throw it at 100%. But I also don't think that many are landing too cleanly. I think a fair amount of leather is being, landed on, just hitting the glove. Kattar is being forced back against the cage. I think that's more of him getting out of the way than actually Emmett forcing him back by landing punches.
Clean punches, right?
Yeah, he was hitting the glove, I think, on a lot of it. Or at least partially blocked. Kattar is busting up the eye of Emmett. His eye is looking pretty nasty. Lands a couple solid rights. Towards the end, he lands a nice knee. It's a close round. I'm okay with the Emmett score if you're saying that these landed better than I'm seeing them land. But I think the immediate impact for the cut over the eye favors Kattar.
Yeah, I'm with you. Honestly, watching this live, it felt very close. Watching it back again, after a little back and forth I had with Josh Gross of Sherdog and the MMAJA president, it definitely helped me kind of give it a little extra attention. I'm like, okay, let's see how much of these are landing really clean when I watch it through again. And yeah, a lot of them are seemingly getting kind of deflected or from Emmett, not landing necessarily as clean. But then the thing to consider is this is a very close round, and depending on your vantage point, it could be very hard to see how much of those are really getting through. I'm kind of speculating here. I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit. I do think probably the better score, all things considered, is Kattar. But I can understand how you would get there in a round like this.
I can see it.
That's kind of where
I
think
sitting. I think you can defend the Emmett score.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Round 4, a little different. What's going on here?
A bit different, yeah. Kattar, he's bopping Emmett all around with the jab, some good rights. Emmett landed a couple punches, but nothing great. Then Kattar lands a huge spinning elbow, and then he whacks him with a right hand that wobbles him. And I mean, it's pretty much a Kattar round here. There's nothing that Emmett did in that round besides going crazy in the final 20 seconds of just swinging wildly
But is he
and
is
not
he even
landing?
Yeah.
And not landing anything.
It had very Diego Sanchez vibes at the end.
It
was just a little more ill intent with the punches, maybe.
I know. I sent you a screen grab from 10 years ago that I posted on Facebook about that fight with him and
8 years ago.
8 years ago, Diego and
Ross Pearson.
I said, going crazy in the final 10, 15 seconds of a round just doesn't win you a round. You got to land something.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Emmett landed anything here. Plus, Kattar had him hurt. I thought he wobbled him good. That spinning elbow was nasty. I think it's easy 10-9 Kattar here.
I think it's the immediate impact off of not just the elbow, but that follow-up.
That right
he lands. It is, let's just, for argument's sake, call the rest of the round, devil's advocate again, that let's call the rest of the round even, right? Let's say that Emmett, and even let's give Emmett just a little bit of an edge. Just pretend that he had a little bit of an edge going into that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it dramatically goes the other way. It goes for Kattar because of the immediate impact off of these strikes.
I agree.
I think it makes it kind of a no-brainer, but I don't even see it the rest of the round that way. I actually saw Kattar winning, I would say, a close but clear round to that point. Then it changes and it gets even much easier. This should be a Kattar round. I don't really see the case for Emmett in this round.
Yeah, I'm struggling to see it as well.
This was the round that I actually came away with, and I think I tweeted the same thing. I said, this is the clearest round of the fight to this point. This was the one that was absolutely a Kattar round. So I was stunned to see that this was the one that Judge Chris Lee had scored for Emmett. And, I can't speculate as to why he would go there, but this is one that I don't think is very defensible.
I'd have to agree. I mean, I think if you're going to give this fight to Emmett, you're on Sal D'Amato's card 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
I think that's the right way to score it if you're going to score it for Emmett.
I don't have a problem with Sal's card going that way. I actually have Doug Crosby's card.
Yeah, I think we're both on the same card.
We are. Yep.
2, 4, and 5 for Kattar.
Yep. You mean the judging genius?
The judging genius, who you pointed out to me that he looks super bored at watching fights.
There's just a way he sits. When he watches the fights, he's leaning on his hand, or it's just the posture that he has. It's just such a strange thing. All judges have their own kind of way of sitting. It's very fascinating. I'm always fascinated by it. There's certain poses that certain judges, you and me and pretty much nobody else on the planet probably notice this type of stuff. But there's certain judges that have they always sit a certain way, and I'm sure I would do the same thing. Although I feel like I have like a billion different ways that I would sit, and I would just look like I can't sit still because I can't. So look, I'm not criticizing anybody as far as stones and glass houses. Believe me, I'm with you, but it's just you kind of spot these things when you're looking for it enough. And yeah, if Doug Crosby definitely has a way of looking at the fight where he just doesn't. He looks a little bored. Yeah, just a little bored. I like there's certain judges that like they're definitely like leaning and all that. Like Sal D'Amato's a good example. He kind of postures and he's like looking and he's really trying to make sure he gets the best view. And it's like you can tell he's locked in.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. There's some not that anyone needs to present themselves. They're judges. That's not what they're here to do. But it just you watch it and you're like, man, this guy's really dialed in.
Yeah, he's really dialed in, and if he has to, he'll move a cameraman out of the way.
Yeah, we saw that at Bellator. That was good. I'm glad you remember that. I forgot it. That's it for the main event. But yeah, we don't get a lot of rounds like round 4 where we have a hard time kind of giving a round, especially at the UFC level. There's just not a ton of them. And if you told me when we got to Texas there was going to be one of them, I'd be like, well, duh, obviously, because we're going to get local Texas judges. But yeah, unfortunately, no. This one came from Chris Lee, who I had just been saying the night before that I thought Chris Lee had been turning in some really strong results the last year and a half, ever since the whole, RDA Felder situation.
Mm-hmm.
That third round in particular is the one I don't think we can really find a leg to stand on. I think 2 and 4 are the ones we don't mind. But yeah, he'd been really strong up until that point. Then there's this one. So I'm sure the crummy social media situation will revive there, but he's still a good judge. This is just it's a bad round. Yeah. Good judge, bad round.
Good judge, bad round. The locals aren't completely off the hook yet. That was only
That's
only the first fight.
No.
So.
We'll get to actually a little bit about that next, right?
Yep.
Damir Ismagulov, in another split decision, got the win over Guram Kutateladze. Scores of 30-27, 29-28, and then the other way, 29-28. We're talking about round 1 and 3. Fights judged by Doug Crosby, Chris Lee, and Jason Staffen. What are we doing with here in round 1?
Round 1, early on in the round, no one's really standing out too much. Kutateladze is landing some leg kicks and punches. Ismagulov landing a couple good counters and jabs. In the clinch is really where this fight's won. Kutateladze lands a good knee to the head and then to the body, followed up by 2 big elbows to the head. He throws a big punch in this whole sequence and finishes it with another elbow. I think this is pretty clear, a Kutateladze round based on just this exchange. I mean, this is really what sets himself apart in this round. He lands a nice front kick to the face a little bit after this. I mean, the impact is just so different in these strikes. I really can't see a case made for Ismagulov here. I think it's a bad score for going that way.
I'm with you. I don't think this is a very defensible score to go Ismagulov in this round, as Judge Staffen did, the local judge. Not a great score at all. I was very surprised as we're watching. I'm like, this is a round that was split. Man, Texas. It's Texas rearing its ugly head again.
Mm-hmm.
No problem with Chris Lee's score this time because he had Kutateladze. Just for argument's sake, which one of round 4 of the previous fight and round 1 of this fight do you think is the harder to defend?
I think round 1 here is harder to defend.
I actually do too, because it's a devil's advocate once again. Let's say Chris Lee had a bad view of the major sequence that we talked about that kind of made it much more of a no-brainer at round 4 of the main event.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say he just, for some reason, doesn't catch the strike that lands it. Maybe he just thinks he stumbles, something like that. There's reason to go about that. Maybe it's a close enough round. I still don't think so, but maybe. Here, I'm really having a hard time finding much of anything that Ismagulov did that makes it like his round.
What do you say that's his round there? Like, he didn't. I mean, there's just not that whole sequence against the cage. Huge knee to the head, huge knee to the belly.
Sure.
Huge elbows. I mean, he's not close to being finished, but he's definitely hurt. He's retreating. I can't see it. So
it's unfortunate. And this obviously it was a close fight overall, I think, probably.
Yeah.
But this one, no defense.
Mm.
Round 3.
Kutateladze comes out swinging. There's a gigantic overlay on the screen.
Super big for like a good 15-20 seconds.
It just just crazy enormous.
Crazy enormous. I like that.
We do get to see him, throw a right hand and then land a big calf kick, which would seem to have good effect. We can only see from like halfway up from his ankle because of this overlay, but the leg got swung around. Ismagulov started landing some punches of his own, nice combos, but I think Kutateladze continues to keep firing back. It's a good round for both guys, really going for it. I think Kutateladze is landing better to all targets. Ismagulov continues to fight back, but I don't think he's landing anything that great. Kutateladze lands a solid knee to the body during a scramble, and Herb Dean decides to say, stop the action, you need him in the head.
Which he didn't.
I thought it was pretty clear that
you can
it was
understand
to the
maybe
chest.
from a different angle.
From a different angle, I guess you can say, err on the side of caution. He might have hit him in the head there, and without replay, you can't really determine that.
Sure.
Which Texas does not have replay.
Non-replay state. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Since he deems this knee illegal, we as judges have to say, this is an illegal strike. Doesn't score. Even without that knee, I think Kutateladze wins this round, albeit a very close one. I think that knee was just the stamp he would have needed to erase all doubt. But since, like I said, it's ruled illegal, we can't score it. But I'm still on 10-9 Kutateladze in a quite close round.
No, I went the other way, though. I actually thought that Ismagulov was landing some pretty crisp punches.
Okay.
Especially. He obviously gets on top at, was it the very end of this round, too? Am I thinking of the right thing? The right sequence? Or?
Well, they had the whole knee sequence started as a grappling sequence.
Right.
He got on top, but he got quickly reversed, and then he scrambled up and got kneed.
Right. I think throughout this round, I'm seeing a very close round. I'm not by any means thinking this couldn't be scored the other way. But I do think that there's enough impact coming off of what Ismagulov is landing. This is definitely the closest round of the fight.
Yeah.
I think without question.
Ismagulov definitely got 2.
So yeah, no, it's unfortunate that realistically I feel like the round 1 was the one that kind of got messed up. But ultimately, I don't see any form of, robbery or anything like that.
I would not categorize this as that.
Same thing for the first fight. Even though again there was essentially a deciding round here. If Chris Lee had scored round 4 the same as judges Crosby and D'Amato, and it was a Kattar round overall, it would have flipped the win to Kattar. However, because I think there is a path to 3 rounds.
Right, yeah. 48-47
for Emmett. It's just for there to be a score of 48-47, it makes sense, even if I disagree with the way he got there, but the fact that it's available tells me that it's not a robbery.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it goes. I think we could probably move on from there. I don't think the guy identified who scored that round of the judges, and that was judges Lee and Staffen had it the same way I did for Ismagulov. You agreed with Judge Crosby, as you were pretty consistent throughout this night.
Me and Bored Doug hanging out together.
Yeah, Bored Dan and Bored Doug.
No, I wasn't bored. I love this. I got to watch all the prelims live. I had to catch up on all the main card stuff afterwards.
What were you doing?
I was dealing poker tournament.
Oh, you would.
So
you and your poker.
Gotta make that money.
Do you listen to Poker Face on your way over?
No.
Do you ever want to play poker with Shoeface?
I'll play poker with Shoeface.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good time. Actually.
He was saying how much he loves poker.
All right.
That was all he was saying on PFL, which we'll talk about a little bit.
Call him up and tell him I want to play with him.
Okay, I'll let him know.
All right, thanks.
All right, we got one more split decision to get to before we've got a couple of 10-8 splits, right? 10-8-9 splits. And that is in Maria Oliveira getting the win over Gloria De Paula. 29-28 all around. Comes down to round 3. It's a classic, no matter what, we got some drama here, right?
Yeah.
What's going on in this round?
Well, I mean, I want to point out that this is a strawweight fight, and I really don't find judging strawweights very fun. Because
I imagine judges agree with you, actually.
Because not a lot of separation in fights are just so close due to low impact.
Yeah, the lower the weight, it's lower impact and you often higher volume, so it's kind of like you just got a bunch of things that aren't landing super heavily, right?
Yeah.
Whereas at the other end, you have much more impact but lower volume. So it's also like the same problem.
Yeah.
Heavyweight. Judging heavyweight and judging strawweight feel like they're just like the death sentences.
Yeah, it's tough. I was actually kind of hoping that all 3 of the more, experienced traveling judges got to do the strawweight because it's the toughest to do. That was not the case, but
I wouldn't hold Texas to that type of standard. No offense to, Texans listening, but it just doesn't seem like the way the commission operates. Although I will say, we have to point out that for the first time in a while, we had a Texas card where they didn't have judges and referees doing both.
Yeah, that's a good start.
It was nice
for this caliber of event.
They had fewer. They also had fewer officials working it, and it was the first time they haven't been in Houston in a while, which I was very happy to see.
Yeah, and the next one's in Dallas. When they go back.
I mean, this was still an adventure. This card.
Yeah, it was.
All right, but anyway, we got to get to this third round here. Oliveira and De Paula. What's happening here?
Yeah, to be honest, I thought this was the easiest round to score. 3, I thought it was pretty clear for Oliveira. De Paula seemed to be a bit tired, and Oliveira, I thought she won this one pretty easily. De Paula had some decent offense. I do think Oliveira was landing with some more impact compared to the rest of the fight, where I thought she wasn't landing. I could see it maybe De Paula with the strikes that she did land that were good, and that's when Oliveira started wrestling. So I could see that maybe these were better, and then force her, hey, I don't want to be hit with these anymore. I can see an argument that way. But compared to the rest of the fight, I thought this was an Oliveira round 10-9.
I disagreed. I saw this one as De Paula actually landing the more effective strikes, especially in I would say in the second half of the round. When once again you're pointing out the wrestling kind of starts to come into play. I don't know if it's a response or not. I'm not grading it or assessing it based on that.
Okay.
But, it's certainly something you could interpret from there. But again, that's I almost take that as more like how you would look at the stats, right? The stats are something that you can use to help understand what you already saw rather than telling you what you should see.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's almost like the same way with the way the wrestling kind of comes into here in a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
All right. But at any rate, yeah, close round for sure. But I did see this one going to Paula's way, so I had no problem if she ended up getting the win here. She did not.
I had her up 2-0 going into the third round. I thought the Paula won 29-28.
Okay, so ultimately you still thought the wrong person. Well, not the wrong person, but the person who you wouldn't have given the fight to.
Yeah,
won.
I thought early on it was I thought each round was very close, but ultimately my final score was 29-28 to Paula.
Okay, interesting.
But I thought round 3 was the clearest to me for Oliveira.
I don't know. I guess I just disagreed, my friends, respectfully. But you saw it the same way as judges Chris Lee and Joel Ojeda, whereas I saw it the same way as John Shorley.
All right.
That was it for our splits. We just have a couple of 10-8-9 splits. Split decisions, I meant to say, for the first one. But yeah, so we're at 8-9 splits here, starting with Phil Haas and Deron Wynn, who, of course, Haas got the win. Round 2, TKO. Elbows were doing the deal. I mean, he was battering
people's elbows.
People's elbows.
Came out to the Rock's entrance music.
Phil Haas, by the way, local guy for us.
North Bergen.
My wife drove the family home. I wasn't at the game, but they went to a Mets game today, and they took 2 hours to get 30 minutes from home.
See, New York is a crazy place to drive to.
Drive from especially
to, in, everywhere.
Near, within eyesight.
Yeah.
So let's get to round 1. This is the one where we're talking about an 8-9. Okay, so why are we talking about this as maybe a 10-8?
Well, because it should be.
Well, why?
He checks dominance. He checks damage for sure by a crazy margin. Wynn's being picked apart. He's not throwing much back. Hawes drops him twice. Hurt him a bunch of times with punches, elbows. He's cut. He doesn't maybe check duration all that strongly because he's being very calculated with his attacks. That's really the only.
I mean, calculated to a point. He's not winging punches for 5 straight minutes. But
that's like the only crack I could maybe see someone wiggle their way in with maybe somewhat of a defense. But I think the damage is just so high. You have to go 10-8 here.
Yeah, he's hurting. Haas is hurting Wynn like several times, and he's not really dropping him in the sense that it's like, oh, he fell to the ground and it was almost like a finishing sequence. It's just there's a bunch of times where he's like, man, this dude's in trouble.
A lot of trouble.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you don't give this a 10-8, what is a 10-8?
Well, I can see the reason why you would say, okay, you're looking for maybe those sequences I'm talking about where you knock someone down and it's like they're almost stopped, that kind of thing. Devil's advocate again. I've been playing that a lot for this episode, but no, I see this as a 10-8 too, man. I'm with you. We both agree here that this ought to be what gets a 10-8, especially because the damage element is there. The damage element is what they're really looking for now for these 10-8s. And if they don't have it, I guess I can see how it doesn't get there, but that's not the case in this round. And yet it was only our traveling judge who came to Texas, Sal D'Amato, who had the 10-8 for Haas, because local judges Joel Ojeda and Jason Staffen saw this one as a 9. And it really just seems to come down to the pattern you see from Texas judges that I think you alluded to before. We just don't see 8s being given out by the local judges. I don't know necessarily if that's a mandate from the commission or not. I have no idea. Well, but it sure seems like it.
That'd be crazy.
It would be crazy. That wouldn't be a way to do things. And I would hope a commission wouldn't do that.
Hey, don't give any 10-8s. I don't care if the guy's dead.
Don't think they talk that way in Texas, but I bet your twang's even worse.
It is.
You're probably better off not.
It was more of the head honcho guy instead of the geographical.
That felt like straight out of Sopranos.
Could be.
Yeah,
could be.
I'm just picturing you being in the Sopranos, being like, "Hey, no 10-8s. Don't be giving out them 10-8s here, Tone."
That was a good show.
It was a decent show.
Well, you're gonna upset a lot of people by just going.
I'm just underselling. I'm not.
Okay.
I don't love Sopranos, but I recognize it's a great show.
Okay,
that's okay. I think it's all right. But yeah, you and I are both united with Sal D'Amato, who was the only judge who saw it that way. So what does that mean for Judge D'Amato?
That's couchside override. One that we shouldn't even had to talk about.
I mean, maybe not, but here we are.
Congratulations, Sal.
Here we are. It's in the mail. The award's in the mail. They're all in the mail. Our mail service is just terrible these days. My grandfather was a mailman, you know.
All right.
Yeah. This wouldn't have happened on his watch.
Not at all.
I mean, maybe, but I don't know.
But now
He retired from it way before I was born, so what do I know?
Mm.
Let's move on to the other 8-9 and our final round from UFC, and that was Natalia Silva getting the win over Jasmine Jasudavicius, 30-27 twice and a 30-26. Round 2 is our split round here as far as the 8-9. Why is this one a potential 8?
Well, I thought she damaged Jasudavicius to a pretty strong degree. I thought her punches and kicks were heavy, her takedowns were impactful, and her ground and pound was strong. I can kind of understand a 9 because there's a bunch of moments where there's kind of a lull in the action where Silva's kind of just like taking off and just circling.
Yeah, is she pushing for the 8 there?
Or she's stuck trying to break free from a clinch, from a desperation clinch, that I should say, by Jasudavicius. But really, Jasudavicius didn't have any effective offense at all, I don't think. I think you have damage. I think you have domination. I think you go 10-8 here. I don't think Jasudavicius earned herself a 9.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Jasudavicius doesn't like fade much this round, like in the sense that her like will is broken. I think she's trying and she's just totally failing.
Oh, she's failing bad.
She's failing miserably. She just looked terrible in this fight. I'm pretty sure you were interested to see what she had to bring to this fight.
I was.
Right?
I thought she had nothing.
I kind of relied on you for this one because she's from Contender Series, right?
Yeah,
so I don't watch Contender Series, and well, not unless someone tells me like you really got to watch this. No one really does that though. But yeah, I was very underwhelmed by her. I was completely not overwhelmed, but super impressed with Natalia Silva in this whole fight. But yeah, in this round in particular, round 2, I don't see why this has to be an 8, you know? I would like a round like this to be a different score. Like in our CSJ system, this would be an 8 as opposed to being a 7, which we would usually get for like, let's say around like Haas round 1, right? In our system, that's probably going to be a 7.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And then this, I think, would be more like an 8. This would get that intermediary score.
Okay.
10, 8.5, if you will.
I mean, I think you definitely. I mean, I think you have damage checked, inked in there.
Yeah,
I think it comes down to one of the other Ds.
But like, you think about damage, right? And you think about again, go back to Haas round. He is laying the wood to Duran win. He is just beating him up, and he's in just a terrible way. And I don't think that there's that many times in this round where Jasudavicius is really in that kind of way.
But I also don't think the damage has to be in that way to get there. I think Haas went over and above. In terms of damage. I
mean, yes, probably you're right. It probably is 2-degree overkill. It's probably closer to a 7 than a 9. Not that anyone's ever going to give the 7.
Right.
It's literally been 2 years since we had a 7 in the UFC, and it was just 1.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, I don't remember if it happened the previous year or not. Actually, I know there were no 10-7s in the UFC in 2019. So there's only been one 10-7 score from one judge in one round the last 3.5 years.
Okay.
Total unicorn. But either way, that one's closer to the 7 than it is to the 9. This one, definitely not that way. It's much closer to the 9 than the 8. And I do think it's a 9. Again, I'm cool with, look, if Chris Lee wants to give this an 8 as he did, and you do too, I'm not really going to hate it because I think there's reason that we should try to push the scoring system a little bit more, expand it a little bit more. And yeah, you could probably find a reason for it in the criteria, but I think probably this isn't where I would have gone realistically if I was sitting in the chair.
No, I think I'm 10-8 on this one.
All right, that's fair. So you saw it like Chris Lee. I saw it like Joel Ojeda and John Shorley.
Mm-hmm.
No override.
Nope.
Override denied. So Chris Lee gets a I don't say reprimand because he doesn't answer to us, but he gets I guess the what would he call what we described as round 4? I don't know. Bad round, bad score.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, he's still a good judge. And you saw it this way, so whatever. Now that is it for UFC rounds. We do have one round from PFL that had everybody talking on Friday night, sir. And I know you didn't get to watch this live, but I put this on your radar today. And it was the third round from Alexander Martinez getting a split decision win over Clay Collard, 29-28 all around. This was in Georgia, sir, with local Georgia judges. Let's talk about round 3, the deciding round. What happens in this round?
Yeah, round 3, Collard, he's doing well striking. He's landed to all targets, leg kicks, body punches, punches to the head. And really, Martinez isn't doing anything. Anything he's throwing, it's either missing or it's has nothing behind it at all. After he gets hit with a shot, he dives on a leg, and he actually does get a takedown here into half guard. Collard's able to quickly get it back to full guard and work his way back up to the feet. While they're down here, Martinez isn't throwing any strikes. He isn't doing anything offensive. Eventually, the position is reversed, and Martinez dives on a neck. It's a arm-in guillotine, and it's not really that tight.
It doesn't look super tight. He's not really like up on his hip or anything.
Quite a lot of space there. I don't see any real danger or any real offense here. So I mean, maybe from a different vantage point, it may look a bit tighter. That's always possible.
Sure.
But I don't think it really should come into play that much in this round. I want to say this round is they're both extremely tired. It looks like so. Bit sloppy in parts. When they're back on the feet again, I couldn't tell from the camera angle we saw if he dropped him or if it was just a slip with a right hand.
That was hard to tell, yeah, from our angle.
I don't if it was a knockdown, then I mean, what are we doing for real?
Sure.
But let's just say, for argument's sake, it's a slip.
Mm-hmm.
It ends with another takedown from Martinez, and he stays on top to close out the round, landing some pitter patter. Basically, I think this is pretty clear round for Collard here, 10-9.
I think this is a Collard round. I think if you're going to give this round to Martinez, you're either assigning a whole lot of weight to that brief arm in that really didn't look super tight or close, and it really wasn't for all that long to begin with either, or you're giving a lot more weight to, empty takedowns where really not a whole lot of actual effective offense comes from it.
Right, yeah, he had him against the cage for a little while. He had the back. He's throwing, some Storley knees.
It felt, but so someone wants us to, or we're gonna put that on a T-shirt.
That's
right
gonna
now.
go on
Somebody
a T-shirt.
really wants that. Yeah,
that's going on a T-shirt.
It was very nice of and I wish I could shout out. The name escapes me off the top of my head, but one of our dear listeners, who thank you very much for listening. They were fans of your Storley knees. So
yes, Storley knees.
Yeah, I don't watch this round and see it any other way in modern MMA scoring than for Collard. I think if you're going to give it to Martinez, you're almost giving the same weight to takedowns that you used to. It's like, well, a takedown, yeah, it's a change of position. Okay, that counts, and you got to score that. I just don't see the effect coming from the takedown.
There wasn't any.
Exactly.
Really, so.
Exactly. So it's not there. I don't think that's the way it ought to be judged. I can't put myself in the shoes of judges John Regliano or Monica Ridgway, who saw it from Martinez. I don't know what they're necessarily thinking. I don't know what the officials' training is like. I don't know what they do in Georgia. I'm not as familiar with the practices there, but I will say this is a hard one to justify.
Go any fighters that are coming up here, get that finish.
Oh, yeah, and boy, they're going to be in Georgia for the next two PFLs, so I imagine we'll get very similar judges. I think it's a real shame that, and who knows what the reason is. Maybe there's just unavailability on the side of this party, but Derek Cleary is in Georgia. Derek Cleary is one of the best judges in the world. Derek Cleary did not work in Texas the next day. They couldn't find a way to bring in one of the best judges in the world who's also in state to work this event.
Yeah.
That feels like a failing of PFL to me.
Yeah, but like you said, maybe they actually did try to, but
it's
possible.
possible.
Wasn't available.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't available. That's okay. If that's how it was, that's how it was. You can't expect Judge Cleary to just take every single assignment they tell him and say you're going to do that, because the man's got another job. Everybody else does. All these judges have other jobs. In fact, Judge John Marigliano, it looks like, is an actual lawyer or judge, just from some base research I did. So twice the judge, maybe. This is a hard one, though, and what's really tough is that, and this is not the fault of the judges, but Clay Collard is now out of the PFL regular season. Realistically, he's still probably one of the top two lightweights on the PFL roster. Maybe top three if you want to just expand it, but top four are supposed to make it based on results. And I think even the winner here, Alexander Martinez, he's going on. He's going to be in the playoffs now because of this victory. And that's a shame that it won't be Clay Collard as well, or instead, really. So
I mean, this isn't really something that's crazy, but you know how hockey, when it goes to overtime, you still get a point?
yeah, okay.
If you go to a decision, do you think maybe you should get a point?
I don't think it would have made a difference in this case.
No.
No, because there's not the problem is with PFL, you only have 2 fights to be able to get yourself into the playoffs.
Okay.
So I would have to look at the standings again. I'm sure it could make a little bit of a difference to be able to go the distance, but I don't know. That would almost encourage fighters to maybe just survive, and I don't know that that's what PFL is looking to do with their system. I think they're looking to create a system in which it rewards fighters who pursue the finish.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't see them ever doing that, and I can understand why they wouldn't. But yeah, a loss here, literally,
or a split decision gets you 1 point.
It totally. That gets tricky too. But Clay Collard, it's not like money was taken from him by the judges, but man, I think a win was taken from him. I think this is another one of those PFL robberies like we saw last year.
You're gonna go there, that word.
I am. I don't like to go there, but I think he was. I think in this case he was.
Yeah.
I think the right man.
The wrong guy won.
The wrong guy won.
So.
We can see them the other way. I think we already proved that in the main event from UFC. We understand why you can still get 3 rounds out of that. Here, I don't understand how you can get 2 rounds from Martinez in a 3-round fight. I don't see it. I don't see the path to it. I think when you get there, that's a robbery. That's how I see it. So I will give credit to Judge Will Fisher, who did see this for Clay Collard, just as you and I did. And what does that mean for Judge Fisher?
Oh, couchside override.
There's his first ever. That is in the mail.
Now, is there a reason PFL chose Georgia? Do you know?
They were available?
Well,
the
no,
venue was available? I don't know.
I figure there's multiple events going on, I think.
Sure. I don't know. I have no idea why they picked one place over the other. I know they're going to be in New York in August.
Okay. Should be a bit better.
There are more local judges available up here, I think, who get probably a little bit more experience. I don't know what they're going to do. The problem is PFL doesn't seem very interested in making sure that the commission knows they would be interested in seeing certain judges put in if they were inclined to hire them the way UFC or Bellator would.
No, so I know they're allowed to change the rules and say, hey, you know what? We're not going to let you throw elbows because we're silly. And we don't want you to throw elbows in a part
PFL, yes.
Of MMA. A legal strike, we're just going to say, no, you can't do it. Can they do something crazy where they're like, you know what? That stupid app is going to determine whether you win or lose and not have judges? Are
you talking about verdict?
Yeah. Are they able to alter the rules that far?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't imagine any commission would actually agree to have that because, there's a lot of there's legislation that dictates this type
or there's
of stuff.
Fighters' performance rating.
No. I imagine that would be a major hurdle for any promotion to try and overcome if they wanted to have their events, in, let's say, the United States of America.
Okay.
Because these states have legislation on the books that says certain things.
I'm curious.
It's got to be adjudicated by 3 judges, and these have to be individual people as opposed to a corporate entity's product, which is what verdict is.
But I'm saying they can willy-nilly just ban a technique.
I don't know the details of how they're able to do that particular thing, but I imagine it's a lot easier to get it cleared to say, yeah, maybe there's one dangerous thing they're not allowed to do. Oh, okay, that sounds good. As opposed to adding things that they can do. Can't do that. That's bad. Or changing the entire way that a fight is scored in the United States of America once again. I don't imagine they could defer to verdict. Maybe I'm wrong. If there's a commission official listening or someone else with some knowledge, be happy to listen and learn from you too, as always. So, but no, I don't think verdict will ever have a say in a fight in the United States.
Yeah, I'm not even going to count PFL as MMA anymore until elbows are allowed.
You're going with Caposa, you're calling them exhibitions?
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's just whatever.
I guess I can sort of understand. I also do think that, and it sounds like the reason they don't want to do it has at least part to do with, making sure these fighters get through the season. It's for, if they're going to fight 4 times, you get a cut, that can throw everything off, right?
I guess, yeah. Let's protect the quarterback. Can't touch him. Might as well put flags on him now. What are we doing? We playing football?
But the
We're
real,
playing two-hand touch here.
at the very least, once you get to the championship, let them do it. Let them do it.
I guess.
It's very goofy that they won't even do it there. That's where I'm like, come on. But
That's even more ridiculous.
that's enough for PFL, though.
Yeah, at least in the Super Bowl, you could get away with a bit more roughness, so to speak.
in the Super Bowl of PFL.
Yeah, like I was making a comparison to football before, as quarterbacks are protected.
Right.
At least in the Super Bowl, you can lay down the hammer a bit.
That is all we need to really say about PFL, right? Because we did have, like I said before, 9 finishes.
That is not all we have to say
In the
about
UFC.
PFL. We're going to be talking about them again.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
But,
so.
but for now, let's say past business is done.
Yes.
There were 8 TKOs or KOs in UFC, 1 submission, and 6 of the fights ended in the first round. Overall, excellent way to watch your fights on Saturday night. What was your favorite of these finishes, sir?
As much as I love Kevin Holland's Darce choke as the
Which is
only
what I
sub,
thought you were going to pick.
Ricardo Ramos spinning back elbow knockout right against the fence. Danny Chavez, right?
Danny Chavez.
Danny Chavez just knocked out cold standing against the fence. Got an holy effing cannoli out of me, and I was kind of jaw on the floor there with that one.
I had a holy cannoli cake last week, by the way, birthday cake.
All right.
And then I had some holy macaroni today.
Nice.
At the barbecue. I forgot about that part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was mostly meat I ate, but then I did have some pasta and some chips and stuff like that. Oh, there was like a taco dip, or it was something like that. It was really good.
Eat it all.
Oh yeah, I ate a bunch of stuff. I pretty much I ate like a small breakfast, and then I had a giant lunch, and then I stopped eating.
Okay.
That was like my day. I ate everything in like 2 hours. It was like intermittent fasting.
Get it all in.
Pretty much. Oh man.
Well, what finish did you enjoy the most?
I don't think this surprises you. Adrian Yanez doing what everybody was pulling for him to do in smashing Tony Kelly inside of a round to the point where it sure looked like Kerry Hatley, the referee, stepped in maybe just a strike or two late. Not terrible, not an awful thing, but also nobody felt sympathy, so nobody
There really
cared.
was no sympathy
No
there.
one cared. It was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
He kind of got kicked in the head by Kerry Hatley, too, on the stoppage. It was just like insult to injury. It was all this stuff. But also, there was the hilarious interaction that Aaron Bronstetter reported that happened, I guess, during the commercial break, where Kelly goes up to Yanez and says, "Oh, I wasn't out." And he's like, "No, you were out." It's like, "No, I wasn't out. You were out." What? What does that even mean?
I know you are. What am I?
So ridiculous. Oh, jeez. But yeah, that one. And realistically, like let's say you were of the camp who said, whatever. Who cares what Tony Kelly said while he was cornering his girlfriend? Even if he called her opponent a dirty effing Brazilian, which is something I don't condone. Let's say you're okay with that. Let's say you're the type that says, that's fine. Once Tony Kelly missed weight on Friday, I'll bet you jumped off that ship, because if there's one thing that MMA fans have no patience for, it's a fighter missing weight.
The fighter missing weight
Mm-hmm.
is a death sentence for your fandom.
Oh yeah. No one's rooting for you anymore. So yeah, he was kind of on an island on that one.
Well, he just needs to embrace full heel at this time. Miss weight again next time.
I think he did by saying, "No, I'm not out. You were out."
Yeah.
I think he did exactly what you're saying. He's ahead of you, sir. But yeah, so Adrian Yanez, by the way, another big winner on this card.
Yeah.
I think he's really going to get a step up in competition. He deserves it. He's got 5-0 now in the UFC. I don't know if did he get the performance bonus for this one? I don't remember.
I'm sure he did. Dana said something along the lines of cards like last week, and this week it's hard to just give out 3. So I'm assuming a lot of people who just got to finish are getting a bonus.
I have no idea, but I will say if he did get a bonus, that's actually 5 out of 5 for him. So, Dan,
jump up.
Maybe it's Dan 50K Ige. He probably should kind of give the nickname over to Yanez.
Could be.
I think he's more deserving of it because he's getting 50K every week. I would like to see him get a step up competition, though. I think he's ready for the next level.
Yeah, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. And that is it for old business. Moving on to a busy fight week. All 3 of the majors are in play, the North American majors, that is. Bellator and PFL on Friday night. Let's start with Bellator, your favorite, Dan. Bellator 282 at Mohegan Sun, headlined by another of your favorites, Gegard Mousasi.
I got none against Gegard. He's fine.
All right.
I mean, does bore me from time to time.
Well, there you go.
So-
That's why I think that you don't like him.
No, I do.
Because you say things like that.
Is it true?
I mean, fine. Sometimes he's a killer, and then sometimes, he's not
It's
really
like-
the killer you'd like to see.
Like,
It's true.
Just be the killer all the time.
So much to ask that you're just amazing every time.
Yeah.
God.
I mean, you fight twice a year at most.
Actually, this is his second fight this year. He might get a third fight in this year.
We will never know about it because Bellator doesn't say anything.
Sir. So it's Musashi against Johnny Eblen, 185-pound title. Are you interested in this fight?
Yeah,
All right.
because Johnny Eblen, he's undefeated.
What about the Bantamweight Grand Prix fights? This is the quarterfinal stage that includes.
I'm going to make
the
a pick on this main event
contestant.
before you get there.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't know you were going to make picks.
Yeah, well, just for this fight,
Okay.
Johnny Eblen's winning.
Really?
Decision.
Okay.
Stays undefeated.
A fun decision or a decision?
I think it'll be one where it's like you don't mind watching it, but one you probably won't really watch again.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now, is that by Bellator standard or general?
no, by
MMA
just
standard?
general MMA.
Okay,
standard.
because I know you everything with you and Bellator is always on a curve.
Yes, because I don't feel Bellator likes Bellator. They treat it like it's just whatever.
I don't know that that's true, but what about the Bantamweight Grand Prix? I know you're into this.
Yeah, I love the Grand Prix because they actually mean something.
And this is the
So-
quarterfinal stage because we had the two qualifiers that won their way in.
Mhm.
Danny Sabatello, he's going against Leandro Higo. And then the other qualifier is Enrique Barzola, UFC veteran, going against Magomed Magomedov.
Mm-hmm.
A whole lot of Magomed going on there.
A lot of Magomed.
Are you into these fights? Like even just in general?
Yeah,
or-
I like Magomed. I think the finals is going to be him and what's his name, Ralphie Stotts.
Okay.
I think that's the final. They already had a crazy good fight not too long ago, so this would be a rematch.
I'm very
for the winner.
curious about Danny Sabatello though, because he looked really, really excellent in his first fight,
Mhm.
and then he cut a great promo, which was excellent too. And then I saw, I think it was might have been on MMA Hour last week, where they were talking about the comparisons that people were starting to make between him and Colby Covington, which I hadn't seen that. I hadn't seen anybody draw that parallel, but he was saying no, he doesn't like that. He doesn't want to be compared to that because he's not playing a persona. He's not trying to do anything like that.
Okay.
He's just trying to be himself. So he doesn't like that comparison at all.
At all.
No, he does not. But he doesn't mind the Joe Pesci comparison. He's like
Okay.
pretty okay with that, which is also awesome.
Yeah,
I would just like to hear him talk about the two Utes.
the two Utes.
The two youths.
But what's crazy is that scene, everyone's like, oh, Joe Pesci doesn't pronounce his H. But then Judge, name is slipping me, pronounces the H in what? The two what?
The what?
What? No one questions that.
That's true.
So everyone's always about the New Yorker or the New Jersey guy.
That's right. Jersey represent
Talks a little different.
up here. My Italian American brethren.
That's a good. I mean, if it wasn't so late, I'd probably watch that tonight.
Yeah, it's kind of late. It's about it's past 3 a.m. You could just watch it anyway. I mean, who needs to sleep?
Yeah,
No
that's
sleep
true.
till.
That's true.
And yeah, obviously the other one I think is interesting too. Are you interested in any of these fights? I'm going to name them. Brent Primus against Alexander Shabley
Maybe Brent Primus a little bit.
because of the potential for Gogo
Go
Plata.
Goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good ground game. So guard work. So
I will watch
I like
any
that.
Brent Primus fight. Any single one because there's always the chance of a Gogo Plata.
I mean, it's always possible.
And we almost got one last week. I know it wasn't that close, but like it was very exciting to see a Gogo Plata
Mm.
in a UFC title fight, even an attempt by Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah. That was a clear round for her.
Who I can't believe people are still on the train of Santos won that fight. She didn't win it. She didn't win it. She didn't win it.
Didn't win it.
Move on. What about Kat Zingano against Pam Sorensen?
I like Kat, but
I'm interested in Kat.
eh.
The thing is, I'm kind of interested to see if she wins this fight. If she does get that fight next against Chris Cyborg, which I feel like the two of them were supposed to have fought like at any point over the last 5 years.
can the Kat Zingano that murdered Amanda Nunes show up again?
I mean, that was a long time ago. I don't know. It's hard to say. But I'm interested. I just want to see if she can actually get to that fight that everyone's kind of been waiting for. If it feels like a missed opportunity, I feel like Cyborg just doesn't have that many other opponents that would be very interesting at this point. So Kat would be the most interesting. I hope to see. I'm not like rooting for anyone, but I am rooting for the possibility of a fresh fight for Chris Cyborg. So in that, I guess in that sense, yeah, it would be nice to see Kat Zingano win, but I'm not attached to it emotionally.
Okay.
That's it for Bellator as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure you.
What
have
time in the
nothing to add
day is
to it.
this? Is this a night? Are they in the States?
I believe, yeah, it's Mohegan Sun. It's Mohegan Sun. So I imagine we'll probably be getting, some of the same judges that often work there. I don't know if someone like an Eric Colon or anybody from New Jersey or that kind of thing would be there, but yeah, I'm sure they'll get some pretty solid judges out there. No one's going to Georgia though, of course, for PFL 5. It's just going to be probably the same local judges.
I mean, are they? I'm kind of getting to. Are they competing against each other?
Time-wise, I believe they are on at similar times.
Okay.
I imagine Bellator will go off later. I think typically, I don't know off the top of my head, and I didn't write this down in our notes. I imagine Bellator is probably going off at like 10 o'clock main card, and that's probably not far off from when PFL is going to be finishing.
Okay.
But I don't know that for a fact either. So essentially they are going head to head at least for a period. It's not like when they were international. Bellator was a few weeks ago and then PFL was in the evening.
Okay.
Yeah. So you will have to make some form of choice potentially, but it probably will be okay because it is heavyweights and featherweights at PFL. None of these fights jumped out at me from either the featherweights or the heavyweights. Bruno Capolozza, he's an interesting fighter. I would say he's the most interesting of their heavyweight division in my eyes. But, I mean, how often am I super interested in heavyweight fights to begin with?
Never.
So, that kind of tells you a whole lot about it. I'm much more interested, though, in the lone lightweight fight, which kind of was thrown off schedule by the first leg of the lightweight fights being postponed. Anthony Pettis is back in there against Stevie Ray, and these are two UFC veterans. So there's actually this could feel like a UFC fight to someone like you who maybe prefers to watch his MMA in the official octagon.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but there won't be any elbows, so.
That's true. Still an exhibition in your eyes.
Yep.
It's the Showtime kick, not the Showtime elbow. He can still do stuff.
Yeah.
So you're not interested in Anthony Pettis against Stevie Ray?
I like Anthony Pettis.
You're not interested in this fight? Or you're interested in this fight?
I guess a little bit.
Oh,
is it part of the tournament?
It is.
Oh, okay.
It is. Yeah.
Then,
so this is the last one.
Then why is he in a different schedule?
Because again, so in the first leg, his fight was postponed from that PFL 1. They pushed it back 2 weeks to PFL 3. Oh. So to give him a little bit of a buffer, I'm just hazarding a guess there, logicking this out. I imagine they said, okay, let's put you on the second one at least.
All right.
And that way he'll be able to get back on the same schedule for the playoffs. Presuming that he is in. I don't know where the schedule. I assumed he was going to make the playoffs when he got a first round finish the first time. He pretty much needs to just not die, I think, here. And I think he makes the playoffs.
Okay.
So we will see what comes of that. But that's honestly, of all the fights on the whole card, that's really the only one that I'm actually excited about. Pettis and Ray. Stevie Ray's a Scottish guy too. I like my Scots.
Okay.
I am Scot.
You are Scot.
I've been Scot my whole life.
Look at this guy.
Well, I like Scots not just because that is my name, but because my grandmother's from Scotland. So may her soul rest in peace.
You like Braveheart?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, Braveheart's cool.
Aye, laddie. And then, of course, the next day, there is UFC Vegas, whatever number we're up to. I can't be bothered anymore. I'm just tired of it.
50-something.
It doesn't matter. It just doesn't. It really doesn't matter. I'm done. I'm done writing numbers down. The hashtag will tell me that day. That's fine. But as much as people are kind of down on the, let's say, the name value of this headliner between Arman Tsarukyan and Mateusz Gamrot, I think it's phenomenal. I love this fight.
Yeah, it's a good fight.
Yeah. This is the type of thing I want to be a main event because it gets any fight where you say, I would like to have 2 more rounds of this. That should be a main event. That's what it should be.
Yeah, it should be. It should be also, you should make that option on Fight Night also. Oh, those 3 rounds are really good. Go back
just
out with 2 more. Don't worry about it. We'll just go fight 2 more.
Now you're just being ridiculous,
sir. That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous, but it would be cool.
That would be.
In a perfect world, maybe we do that, where, none of these guys have come away with brain trauma or anything like that.
Yeah.
That would be nice. And everyone's got sunshine and rainbows.
I actually did think that when we were watching the main event tonight. I said, it'd be pretty cool if this was 7.
Just 7 rounds?
Yeah.
I don't think Josh Emmett's eye would have stood up to that very well.
It's possible. Yeah, his
His
eye was
eye-
closed.
It was pretty close
Yeah.
by the end of the fight. Yeah.
And we did see one fight stop because of that.
Yeah.
Doctor stoppage.
Yeah, so Dr. Stoppage. Shout out to Connor. You like this fight though, right? Sarukian and
I
Gamrot?
like Arman and Mateusz Gamrot. Not going to make a pick yet, but I think I expect a high quality fight.
I expect I'm going to have a lot of fun watching this fight.
Yep.
That's what I can predict. I feel really good about that. I also feel really good about, and honestly, this is the one that I think probably should be the main event, as much as I do like this one. Neil Magny against Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Yeah?
This really felt like a main event to me because Neil Magny's at least headlined before, and Rakhmonov, he is a phenomenal prospect. I mean, he's really only a prospect in the sense that he hasn't had that many UFC bouts. He's 15-0. He's never been to a decision.
I like Rakhmonov.
And he's crushing guys.
I kind of feel him and Hamza are on a collision course at some point.
A lot of people feel that way.
For the belt. I think Usman will be long retired. Maybe not long retired, but he won't be in the picture anymore.
I interviewed Rakhmonov last week and through an interpreter. So, take this as obviously an interpretation of what he said, but essentially I'm paraphrasing that he really just kind of sees Khamzat as just another fighter. He's not that not necessarily in skill level, but he's just not that concerned about him compared to somebody else.
Who's he more concerned about?
Don't think he's concerned about anybody. He just wants to beat whoever's in front of him. He doesn't seem to he's not like, yeah, I'd like to prove myself against Khamzat. It's just like, yeah, it's just another guy.
Okay. Neil Magny's just another guy, I guess.
Sure. I think it sounded like there were other fights he was hoping to get instead of Magny, but that he was happy to take it, and that he gives him credit, I guess, enough for stepping up and taking this fight when other people weren't. But nonetheless, he's kind of just looking at this as another fight where he's going to get a win.
Yeah, he's a very opportune fighter. He'll take what you give him. So
Rakhmonov, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm very excited for this one. I really do wish that we were going to have 5 rounds of this because I think this could end up being the first fight of Rakhmonov's career that goes the distance. I think it would be hard to finish Magny, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going any further with, and I wouldn't even call that a pick, but very excited for that fight. I'm also excited for, I bet you are too, Chris Curtis and Rodolfo Vieira.
Yes, I like that.
That's going to be a fun one.
That's a good fight.
Either one of these guys, I'm interested when they come into there because, especially with Vieira, because you just don't know kind of what you're getting there. He's had kind of a weird UFC run.
Yeah, he probably should go to 205, but he's going to stick it out at 185.
He is quite committed to 185. Yeah. Whatever.
Gas is an important thing in fighting, so
they say. And are you I bet you like this one too. Brian Kelleher and Mario Bautista.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Everyone loves Boom.
They should probably just slug this one out.
That'll be a good card. I think that, some of these are on the prelims. I think Kelleher and Bautista are on the prelims, and the rest are on the main card.
Yeah, I think Vanessa Demopoulos is also on the prelims.
She is. She's I think the curtain jerker.
Okay.
Currently. Who is she going against? I knew this for just a second. I forgot. I almost put this down.
And JP Bays is fighting as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really care about that fight too much, but
I don't either. You're just name checking people.
I'm just name dropping right now.
All right, that's fair.
And that does it for this episode of the Couchside Judges. I hope you appreciate it coming out a day early.
Yeah, I hope so. Especially on Father's Day. Any fathers listening like myself, enjoy the day. Hopefully your kids are good and either leave you alone or you have a great time with them.
Thanks for listening.
Take care, everybody.